going on, y'all? This is your boy E. Buck. Gametime Audible. We're ready to talk sports with y'all here this evening, along with this dude right here, the sports guru. You.
What's good, man?
Not much, man. Trying to get all these devices and stuff together. You know how that go. In the meanwhile, talk to the people. Holla at them, would you?
Man, it's been very exciting stuff going on in sports, man. I don't want to start off with nothing yet, man. I just want to give y'all a preview of what we're gonna be talking about, just in case y'all want to jump in. Hello, how you doing, Miss Pat? Today we're gonna be starting. We're gonna talk about the NBA heating up. It's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the NBA. We're gonna also talk about the return of Klay Thompson because we're gonna definitely talk a little bit more about basketball, because sometimes we talk about it for a minute and kind of get away from that. But we're gonna have a pretty healthy topic, or we're gonna have a nice conversation about the basketball right now, since the NFL is getting into the playoffs and pretty soon the Super Bowl. And one interesting thing you sent me, E, that I thought we definitely need to discuss was about the Boston Celtics and their chemistry. I definitely want to jump on that. And some of the teams that we thought that I was not getting respect to, that I want to kind of sprinkle in the conversation. But yeah, it's a few things that we got to keep everybody busy for the NBA perspective.
All right. Well, we finally got Vigo online. What's going on, Vigo? What's going on, Queen V? Thanks for the gifts. Appreciate y'all. This is Game Time Audible. For those who didn't hear the original introduction, we are live from the studios here in Detroit and also on the other side of the Detroit area as well. Checking in from Guru Studio also. Yeah, there is some chemistry issues, not only with the Celtics, but other teams. So we'll definitely get into that when we talk our basketball today. But also we talking a little football. We got going to the latest the scenario, which is Novak Djokovic and what's going on with him in Australia right now. And we got a few other things to throw in the mix. And of course, we want to talk about the athletes and sports that you guys want to discuss as well. We even have some hockey news to report you. Let's go and get that out the way right now, seeing, I don't even want to waste your time, but it is something interesting to be said because the pros, as in the pro hockey athletes, they will not be going to the Olympics this year. There will be
Really?
no NHL athletes in the Olympics this year. I found
Hmm.
that very interesting. What do you think about that, Hugh?
It is pretty interesting to know that the Winter Olympics, man, they trying to hype it up right now, but I still like Bounty right now, man. I don't care who it is. Terry Crews, man, he's a good, star, and he can, bring it and put it to light, but I'm still not really digging it right now, man. But it's really interesting, though, because that's their bread and butter when it comes to Winter Olympics, like the hockey and things of that nature. And for them to just all decide not to be in there, but I actually understand, too,
No,
because
understand. Not this was not the athletes' decision. This was the NHL's decision, not the
oh, really?
athletes. And of
I
course,
understand it though, E, because they've been having a lot of COVID problems. Remember, they shut it down for a while too because of that. So that's why I'm thinking right now, they're looking at it like, well, nah, man, if we don't think it's safe in the NHL, we damn sure well ain't going nowhere else and try to expose our players. So yeah, that makes sense to me. I definitely can say I understand the reason why too.
yeah, so that's pretty much what that's about. But no, apparently a lot of the NHL athletes not too happy about it. They want to go
Oh,
to
really?
the country in the Olympics. So I find it interesting, and I'm really waiting to see if any other groups of athletes end up bowing out because of not only COVID, but because of where the Olympics is being held this year.
Yeah. And that's why I thought the players wouldn't be so upset because where it's being held, that's like the birth child of COVID. So you basically saying that you were okay to go there. And y'all already had issues in the NHL where they shut you down, but you upset going on over there. I mean, I don't know, man. The players need to check themselves on that.
But see, in the end, I think part of the problem we also have is that okay, on the one hand, China's like, look, we see what's going on over there in America. Y'all got million plus cases a day. I don't know if we should be having the Olympics with y'all up in it. But on the other hand, we didn't spend all this and we need to get that money. So we got to do what we
Yeah.
got to do. And I'm really waiting to see what guidelines they have in the next week or two in regards to how they're going to have the events. Will they have minimum amount of people there? Will they require masks? All that good stuff. I've yet to hear any news in regards to that as far as China goes. But they are very strict on it with their own people. So I'm really interested to see how they play it.
Yeah, man, that's funny to me, man. But then, China, you got a point, man. There's a lot of cases over here, man. Like 1 million, man, and then it's a lot of deaths from COVID too, man. We always try to talk about it too, and we know how COVID rules over sports and everything else, man. It's like you always got to check in with them on anything right now because they got everything on lock, but people still not trying to listen, man. And we're going to still have those issues until we get a game plan in place, man. And I could talk about it all day till my beard turn gray, which it already is, but at the same time, people will not listen.
Don't even bother you because as soon as we got to bringing that part of it up, I seen the numbers go down in the room. We get it, y'all. Y'all don't want to talk COVID today. That's fine. We are here to talk to sports, so that's what we're going to talk about. But of course,
their decision.
We got to acknowledge when COVID is part of the story. I mean, that's just the real. That's being neglected. Yes. We don't. But Viper RKO 420 in the building. Shout out to Toledo, Ohio, checking in the building, as well as Baltimore and other parts in between. We got Canada in the house over here on Bigo. Israel checked in for a second. What's going on, Israel? Good to see you, sir. Not speaking, but we do see your icon there, so thanks for coming through. But yeah, as usual, you know what it is. We are going to reset right quick, give y'all time to share the live and all that good stuff to your peoples. And when we come back, what we starting on next, Hugh?
Man, we got to give props to LeBron James, man. We're going to give that guy homage, man. Most people bash and hate this man, but you can't deny what his accomplishments been, man. And we're going to kind of, jump off into his accomplishments.
I really need people to understand that we are viewing some of the greatest athletes of all time at this point in time, with LeBron just being one of them. But yeah, let's definitely do that when we get back. It's Gametime Audible. That's Hugh Lee. I'm E. Beasy. And we'll be back after these fine messages from the Nighthawk Network. In particular, my brother Sean Love. He will be back soon with the Sean Love Presents. He is working on some new material for the show. He does little blocks of he basically has series where all the different episodes kind of lead into a certain topic or certain discussion based on Bible situations or people in the Bible and what have you. So that's what he's working on. He'll be back soon with that. So that being said, here's what we're talking about. This guy right here. Nighthawk Network presents Pastor Sean Love. Pastor Sean Love, devoted father and husband, a residing pastor at the River Rouge Bible Assembly in River Rouge, Michigan. Join him as he gives us messages from God's Word, Bible study, and encouragement. You can find him on YouTube under Sean Love. What's up, everybody? Eric Buckner here. You know me as EB, Young Easy, Eric Buck, all that good stuff. Anyway, I'm here to kick it with y'all about this little podcast I've been doing. I talk trending topics. I talk about the stuff we as people need to talk about. I talk about some things actually that people kind of want to shy away from because we got to have these discussions, folks. That's how we get better. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, hold on. Yeah, so anyway, I do it Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m. You can check it out on Facebook, on YouTube. It's a good show. I say get into it. Yeah, you want to know the name of the show? You said, hold on. Hey, you. Get off my lawn. Yeah, anyway, that's the name of the show, by the way. Get off my lawn. Check it out Tuesdays, 8:30 p.m.
Behind the Blue Curtain, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Viewer discretion is advised.
The views and or opinions expressed here on Gametime Audible is that of the host and or guests, and does not necessarily reflect those of the Nighthawk Network or its affiliates. Viewer and listening discretion is advised.
All right. Game Time Audible. Couple programming notes before we continue. First of all, no, that was not done by mistake. What is throughout the year we will be honoring our good friend, one Derek Smith, also known to the world as Atlanta Hologram. We did several promos and commercials for the show, known as Hey Bitches Live, as well as the remix with your boy Derek. And we're gonna honor our brother who we still feel is with us here in spirit by occasionally playing some of the promos that we played and made for him, so that you guys remember that he is a part of what we do here, just like we do every day, even though he's no longer physically with us. So that is
That's
what. The second thing is the new promotion you saw from Stan Mason. Shout out to Stan. He is still going on. His show is still at Saturdays at 11, but he's been having some issues with Facebook in regards to the content and some things like that. He's working that out with them. So hopefully we'll get that back to airing live soon. In the meanwhile, you can always catch the back episodes on YouTube and YouTube Live if you are subscribed to Stan Mason. So please subscribe to Stan Mason. You'll be able to catch him there. Make sure you set the reminder so it'll let you know at 11 a.m. when his show goes on, so that in the event that it does not air on Facebook for whatever reason, you'll still be able to catch the show. So that being said, y'all, we are back. This is Game Time Audible. I am your boy E Beezy. That my friend is Hugh Lee, also known as Sports Guru, and he is setting the topics as usual. So without further ado, let's have at it, Hugh. What you got?
Man, LeBron James, man. It seems like he's breaking records every day and making history, man. To see that now that he's in the top 10 all time in steals, man, that's impressive. And to see all the accolades, to see the things he's doing, man. I'm not sure. I don't know how many steals he would need to get to number one. That might not happen, but still to be in the top 10, man, it's like that's impressive, man. Because if I'm not mistaken, who's the holder? Is it John Stockton?
I will give you that information in a moment, sir. I had it in my notes, but my notes got destroyed by this water bottle. It did it. It did it. So yeah, so we're going off the cuff with a few of these things. I apologize, y'all. You know we usually a little better organized than this. But in the meanwhile, I will tell you this: LeBron James, when all is said and done, much like his counterpart in the NFL, Tom Brady, will own many of the all-time records just because of one, the longevity of these athletes and the fact that they are still able to play at such an extremely high level. And yes, to answer your question, sir, John Stockton is the all-time leader in steals, followed by Jason Kidd and Mike Jordan. Speaking of those. But yes, LeBron James is now number 10, and you'll be very surprised to hear who's next on that list at number 9.
Who's number 9?
Number 9, amazingly enough, you is one Hakeem Olajuwon.
Really?
Hakeem,
that's impressive, man, for a guy his size, man.
Speaking of people with some impressive records, Olajuwon is top 50 all time in points, top 10 in steals, blocks, and rebounds. So there's that. Now, speaking of LeBron James, he got quite an impressive resume in his own right. Keep in mind, he's only about, at this point, 650 some odd points away from becoming the number 2 scorer of all time. You know, that puts him right there behind, of course, the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But when he takes over number 2, sometime probably late in the season, that will put him ahead of course, the man known as Karl Malone. So that being said, Hugh, you do realize that gives him about another 3,000 or so points to get to Kareem. And despite the fact that his game is primarily known for being a person that distributes the ball more so than being a scorer, he's going to probably be, at least for a small time, the all-time leading scorer in the NBA. Do you understand how crazy that is, Hugh?
That's impressive, man.
Think about if he basically wanted to score more so than all these other things that he does when he's in the game. He may already be there as the all-time leading scorer.
Yeah, agree. Because not only is he a great athlete and a great player, but his selfishness, man, he's definitely not a selfish player. That's what makes him a little bit more respected, in my opinion. But people hate that man, and it's like because when you do so well and you're doing so well and accomplish what he has, he's starting to become like the Kobe Bryant and the Michael Jordan before him. People start to love to hate you when they see that you're on that type of role.
Because, of course, people will point out the fact that of the top 10 scorers of all time, the person that played the fewest games out of any of those top 10 is, of course, the great Michael Jordan, followed by, amazingly enough, the man that has a lot of NBA records still to this day, the big tipper himself, the man with 10,000 women, that brother.
Yeah.
It's crazy that it's almost 50 plus years since he done played, and he still is on many of those lists of, okay, only so and so and so and so has done this, and he is one of them. Young Wilt Chamberlain. For those of you who don't
You know, by him being his size and he was large in stature, man, one too many 7-footers playing back there too. So I understand his dominance, But hey, you can't be upset with him because he's 7 foot. I mean, because his dominance came naturally. It's a lot of guys who tall and ain't really all that good. He just used his height and his skills to his advantage.
But see, then we talk about different eras and who would play good and whose era. There's no doubt in my mind LeBron would have been dominant in any other eras. In fact, probably even more dominant when you consider the fact that he has the skill set that he does at the size that he does. But then they said that about Wilt Chamberlain. That's why I bring that particular comparison up. Because remember, Wilt's almost 7 foot tall. He could dribble the basketball. You see some of those highlights where he's able to do so. Remember, there was a time when he did not only lead the league in points, but assists one year. There was a year where he basically led the league in damn near all three. So, you talk about Oscar Robertson, but even before Oscar was really doing it, there was Wilt handling biz. So there's that. But
That
yeah,
don't never get displayed as much either.
we done took LeBron for granted all these years.
I agree, man, because a lot of times people look at it of what they say to disdain his legacy is the fact that he played with these super teams and he played with so much talent that that's the reason why he accomplished what he did. But that's not really the case. I feel like he did a lot of that stuff in Cleveland before he made that move. And then he went back to Cleveland and still was doing some of the same things he did beforehand.
I mean, but see, you got to understand, Hugh. They talk about the whole super team thing. Okay, super team one, where he basically came together with his boys down there in South Beach. Yeah, they did it. They won the 2 championships, but then he left, and did that not leave the other teams there? And what did they do without him?
Nothing really.
Same with Cleveland when he left there, and basically the rest of the team was there. What did they do without him?
Zero.
And then, of course, the perfect example is last year when he was hurt for that extended period of time. It basically made the Lakers go from number 1 seed to barely making the playoffs to getting booed in the first playoff round. I mean, bottom line is some people prove to be MVP by merely not being in the game. We'll definitely have that discussion when we get to the football later on, because I'm going to basically go there. If certain person that, like it or not, they MVP, we'll talk about it later. Anyway, I do believe LeBron has established himself as the kingmaker in the NBA. So that no matter what team he is on, if he for some crazy reason bumped his head tomorrow and decided to go to Indiana and play, that would automatically put them in playoff contention just from him being there, because he makes his teammates better. Not to mention the fact he is a leader of men. People are drawn to him in terms of how he conducts himself both on and off the court, so that he is the captain of captains. He is the person who is showing you, look, yeah, I could say I'm the man, but I'm showing you I'm the man, and I ain't always got to show you by scoring. Sometimes I'm going to set you up to score. Now, it don't always work that way, as Russell Westbrook right now. But in the end, this brother is doing things that even the great Michael Jordan himself did not do. Because truthfully, he was a leader of men, but you seen the doggone documentary, his leadership's a little different. I think years from now, when we do LeBron's last dance, you ain't gonna hear people talking about how hateful this dude was and how he was trying to fight people in practice and how he was always cussing them out and dogging them to motivate them. LeBron is a motivator on a different level. That is why he has the cachet he does. That's why when all is said and done, and LeBron decides to finally hang it up, the world is his oyster still at that point. He could probably go into about 20, 30 other different things, anywhere from running for president to being the next great action movie star. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, man, with him and his career, man, it's like it's not really being appreciated as much. People hate him so much that they're not looking at the different aspects and the things that he did and what he contributed to the sport. And it's incredible, man, because like you said, that guy's like 37 years old, man. When did he came in the league? He came in the league at like about 19.
18.
Yeah, man, that's crazy to have that longevity in a sport like that, man. And
And
all
not
the
only
things
just
he
that,
did.
you got to look at the fact that think about all the hype that was behind him when he first came in the league.
Yeah,
Everybody,
most
ain't
people
no way he gonna
fold.
live up to that. Ain't no way he gonna live up to that.
Most people fold to that, man. How much did he get? Like a $90 million contract before he even stepped foot in the NBA?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, when you put that type of pressure on people, man, a la Harold Miner, and we could go on with several guys because whenever you call a person Baby Jordan, it seems like they fail, and they failed misery. J.R. Writers and guys like that, everybody comparing to him,
Well, Michael
they should
Jordan's son,
just let
that's
them
how. I
because
mean,
yeah, I
it's gonna
definitely
be right now. Go ahead, Hugh.
I definitely didn't think that. I thought that he was going to be a good player, but not a super great player like he is. And to get that type of money, revenues, and he came in the league, man. That first year, you can start to see the tide change in Cleveland, and not only that, you can start to see his leadership, man. I mean, this is an 18, 19-year-old kid, fresh out of high school, and showing these guys that he's a leader and he could distribute the ball and do all the things that he did out of high school too. That's one thing people's not giving credit because we didn't know how great Jordan was going to be after he left college. But to put all that pressure on a person in high school, man, that's a whole different level, man. To live up to that expectations and then some.
I mean, bottom line, Hugh, when we talk about all-time leading jersey sales, to this day, you can pretty much go to any stadium in any NBA time, and at least 10 to 20 people gonna have either a Miami or a Cleveland or a Laker jersey with LeBron James' name on it. If that don't tell you who the man is, I don't know what else to.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to agree, man. I want to talk about that Boston Celtics situation, man, because we basically said it's starting to get like more or less like the Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant situation, and we've been saying that for like several years now with Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum, man, and he really basically was trying to kill the noise recently, saying that he thinks that they could coexist and still have a good unit over there in Boston. Um, I'm not really sure about that, man, because they got rid of a couple pieces that I felt like should have stayed, like Terry Rozier. I would like to see him stay over there, and that was a huge piece to them. And I think that by them letting him walk, and I still feel like the Hayward situation, man. I wasn't really feeling that. Yeah, he was injured, but at the same time, man, I think they just wanted to have a cohesive unit over there. And, by them having a coach that he played with at college to put him over there on that team, a lot of people thought that will, excel and he will probably have the years that he had when he was in Utah. But I feel like some of the moves was questionable when they got rid of players that could score and then didn't put people in that, circle that could score on that 5-man rotation. And I feel like it got to the point where a lot of times they'll get there and we thinking they're about to get over the hump and they just fold, man. And I think it was more or less because the alpha males on the team, man, wanted to show that they're alpha males. And I just still feel like either they won't coexist and something has to be done. Either Jalen Brown's going to have to leave or Jason Tatum's going to have to leave, but you can't still have both. That's my opinion.
I disagree with you, and I'm going to tell you why. Understand, there are common denominators when it comes to the Celtics. And you're mentioning those two, but there's one other common denominator that has a very key role in this whole scenario.
Who's Smart?
Let's take another team, for example. If you take this one person off the Golden State Warriors, that makes them an entirely different team. And I'm not talking about Steph Curry, and I'm not talking about Klay Thompson. Who am I talking
about? Draymond.
Understand, Marcus Smart is Boston's Draymond, okay? He is the conscience. He is the heart and soul of that team. And remember his earlier comments earlier in the season where he talked about we having chemistry issues because right now our two alpha males are more concerned with scoring than they are with winning. And that is part of the problem. Remember, both of those young men are in their early 20s. And they are men who are in their early 20s. And you know how it was to be in your early 20s, Hugh? It was you against the world. You were indestructible. That's why COVID, I don't need that. I'm healthy. Look at these pecs. You see these guns? I'm healthy. I ain't got to worry about that. I ain't taking no vaccine and all that type of stuff. I feel like a lot of that is going on in the Boston Celtics locker room. That, yeah, my nuts bigger. No, my nuts bigger. Well, my nuts are the biggest. And Marcus was not a person that grew up in that type of environment. He was on the Celtics when you had the big three on there, when you had the big ticket, when you had not the answer. That's Iverson. Cut that out.
The truth.
The truth, yes. He came along when they had Rondo. They had these leaders that were not about me first, let me get my stats. They was about trying to win. So he still has that mindset. These young men do not. So the thing is, who can they bring in to tie all that together? That is the issue. I feel if they had the right coach in the fold, they could get them to come together. If you had Doc Rivers still in Boston, for instance, he could get them to with one another. He could get them to see the bigger picture. If you had somebody like a Nate McMillan, or someone along those lines, he can get them to see, okay, this is what we need to do to come together. Have Chauncey Billups even. But the coach in Boston is who? Exactly. He has
not who this clown is.
He does have the experience. He's been an assistant coach and stuff in the league. But bottom line, he doesn't have enough of the I done did this, so follow me. That is where I think Boston has gone wrong, because there are nights when both of them play very well together. I've seen enough Boston Celtics games to see that, yeah, I remember when they played the Lakers not too long ago. They had a great game. Both of them did. They both had double-doubles. So it's possible. They have proven in the past they can play together. They rallied with each other during that time when Kyrie Irving was on the squad, but not on the squad. He was a bad chemistry issue. But yeah, there's a reason why Brad Stevens bumped up to general manager. He didn't want to deal with that no more. He was not able to deal with that anymore, in fact. Because in the end, for all the good he did in terms of his defensive teaching and whatnot, Brad Stevens was a college coach. In college, he could make you do what you want to do. Pros don't work that way.
Yeah, one issue I have too with the Boston Celtics is they will be up really big in the game, and they'll have a really huge lead, and they'll have a team in a chokehold, and they'll let that chokehold go. And I've seen them have and blow huge leads, man. But then you're right, that's coming with the coaching and not making the actual transactions that they need, the transitions, and to basically make the adjustments, man. I don't think that their coach is great at making adjustments. And like you said, man, he's a guy who's been an assistant for a long time, but we don't really know this guy and his criteria and what he brings to the game. They need a person who's been there and done that and who can speak to these kids on a level where he won't speak down on them. They can speak from experience. So to have an experience in this case, I think would trump anything that can actually be done from a guy who we don't even know and we didn't even know exists until we found out he was going to be the Boston Celtics coach.
Right. Well, bottom line is, I feel like if they can get that players only meeting going on and let Marcus run that bad boy and let them air it out. I think at that point, if they can get on the same page that way, they could very much be in the mix. Absolutely, they could be.
Man, we talked about this, and I would definitely want to get this off my chest too. Still in the NBA, man, teams is not really getting a lot of credit, man. I don't know if their games are not being played a lot, or if they're not really being seen on the big market. But there's some teams out there that we named just a random few that I don't think that's getting the respect. One of them that I've been said before. That's why I wish Pride was on the show, because I felt like that was an up and coming team. And he said, "Well, Hugh, they ain't play anybody yet." Well, right now, if I'm not mistaken, the Chicago Bulls are second in the East right now, and they was like a game behind.
No.
They're number one.
No, they're number one in the league. They're number one in the East now.
Man, so yeah, man, those guys been holding it down because they was only a game behind at one point, and to be number one right now at this time of the season, getting close to All-Star break, man, you got to give them guys a lot of credit, man. But it was another team we talked about, a sleeper. I don't know how long it's going to last, but while it's been lasting, and I think it was a good opportunity to get Rajon Rondo on their team too, man. Damn. And that's what we're looking at now. And I'm like, man, why the hell? I understand why the Nets did what they did to get the pieces that they have. But that Jared Allen dude over there in Cleveland is a problem, man.
Why?
His game.
Why you pick him in particular as far as Cleveland goes?
I looked at him because of the fact that he was one of those trading chip pieces that the Nets got rid of to basically get the players that they wanted to go over there with the James Harden deal. But when you see him now, man, most times when I look at Cleveland and when I be putting their games on, the blog, man, Jared Allen been having a huge season, man. Averaging like 11 rebounds, sometimes more, and averaging like 18 point doubles, man. He averaged that now. And he's a good shot blocker and a defender. And I was like, man, that's what they're missing over there right now with the Nets. People not afraid of them, man.
But keep in mind, Cleveland had that for quite some time. Take Jared Allen out, put in Tristan Thompson. He was basically that. Take him out, put in Ilgauskas. He was basically that. Take him out, put in Kevin Love. He more or less was that. He was not quite as good defensively, man, but in terms of getting those types of numbers, they've always had that good power forward / center in Cleveland. It's the rest of it that always work
the
out.
difference to me is the youth movement. That's the difference to me right now. It's more of a youth movement right now. All those guys are young, man. But at the same time, we got to understand, too, that they've been bad for so long that they got a lot of number one and a lot of top picks, too. And that's why I think they're starting to excel, man. And they've been playing really good basketball, man. And I definitely give them respect. They was the last I seen like 6-7 games over 500. And this late in the season, man, you wouldn't even think Cleveland would be like that, man. So, yeah.
It's just like you said, they do have a lot of good top round picks, and they all starting to come together now, particularly that guard rotation. That is what's making Cleveland excel. Understand, this is where I expect the Pistons to be at this point in terms of a rebuild with all the young players that they have. But clearly there's big-time chemistry issues when it comes to the Pistons. That's why they lost the way they lost last night. That was embarrassing last night.
That was bad. I seen that.
And then they came into the third quarter and whitewashed the Pistons. It was disgusting.
And speaking of that, too, that was another one of them teams we talked about Man, to see Hayward over there finding a home and Terry Rozier, and you get all those guys that's over there with Charlotte, man. That's been a really good team to watch too, man. They've been a fun, fast-paced team that's really playing like exceptional basketball, man. Definitely, we saw it last year when they went to the actual playoffs, but to see them still do it, because sometimes we feel like guys will be good and they would probably blossom too soon. That's what I should say. But to see that they're still at that same pace, man, and they've been beating a lot of good teams this year too, and at the same time holding their own. I mean, the Pistons. I mean that is the Pistons. That's why they lost the way they did. But to see how the Hornets is doing and how that was like you said, that's another thing that I felt like by now the Pistons will start really getting their pieces and start building on their pieces and start to their own. Now that's not the case right now, but it's a lot of good teams in the East. That's basically what I want to say because most of the teams that we talked about was the East Coast teams, and yeah, man, I definitely want to see how this relate in the next few years, man. But yeah, man, it's been a lot of good basketball right now before the All-Star break, and I'm gonna stick with the Pistons, man. How did you feel about the Pistons acquiring Bol Bol for Denver?
Understand when I sent you that, I just thought it was interesting. It wasn't something where I thought it was going to be a game changer by any stretch. Understand, it was good that Denver recognized that they were kind of stunting the development of Bol Bol. Remember, they got a lot of good big men over there in Denver, including the Joker, including Michael Porter Jr., including a couple of those big guys they bring off the bench to help them out. So Bol was just basically much like your boy Taco was over there in Boston. It's the big guy riding star in the G League, star in the Summer League, but basically when it came time for the real season, didn't get to play much unless it was a blowout. But even in the blowouts, you see that Bol does have some NBA skill. Remember, this dude is about 7'3", wingspan about 7'8", can handle the ball at 7'3". I mean, like literally can handle the ball. Is a good passer, is a good three-point shooter, much like his dad, rest in peace. But in the same token, there was really no room for him in the lineup. You don't take the MVP out to play Bol no consistent minutes. So my
agree
here. Remember, the biggest problem that the Pistons have right now is defensively they suck. It's nice where they just get scored upon at will. With Bol being that size and having some type of defensive prowess, you would hope that you could put him in at least on that second tier of players, let him get a good 10, 12 minutes a night in, develop, do some defensive things so that when the starters come back in, they're not coming in and they're looking at 20, 25 points behind. Because then usually that's when the Pistons fold up like a sandwich and we just basically waiting to, is this game over yet? Because that's exactly how it went last night. By the middle of the third period, I'm sitting there watching third quarter and I'm like, oh my God, I can't anymore. It was disgusting. It literally made my stomach sick.
Sometimes, though, man, that's a good thing too, man, because a lot of people forget that Jeremy Grant was over there with, the Thunder, man, and when he was over there, he wasn't getting a lot of minutes because you had so much talent over there, and we never really knew what that man had. Unfortunately, he's with the Pistons right now, and he's playing, but he's getting playing time, and that guy.
No, you wrong, my brother. Jeremy Grant's been hurt for a good part of these last month or so, and then he had the COVID issue before that. The whole thing at this point is it would be crazy for the Pistons to retain him at this point. He is the only person on that squad outside of course, Cade Cunningham that has any trade value. So my whole thing at this point is get him healthy and sell him off to the highest bidder and get the best deal you could get for him because he is not in the future plans of this team. With him,
what I'm saying is, when he was in a situation where he was with the Thunder, he wasn't getting no minutes or really getting the time that he had. But when he came over here, you seen the skill set of this guy. I feel like he should have been gone from the Pistons last season because there's really no room for him to grow over here. He'll get playing time, but I just don't really feel like right now that he would be the exception to the rule due to the fact that I just feel like he could be better served on other teams and he could possibly give us value with a trade.
I mean, bottom line is Pistons have severe chemistry issues, and they have issues in terms of defense and scoring, and all those things make for a bad storm. They have a good coach. I do feel Casey is a very good coach. He's a very good teacher if you have people willing to listen. It's some nights he over there, and he's all type of frustrated because these kids ain't listening. Running gun does not work for this team. Low post, set up half court scoring does not work for this team. This team is extremely streaky. They'll have nights where Sadiq Bey looks like he could be a potential all-star in another year or two. Then they'll have nights where it's like, why is this dude even in the NBA? He don't even belong here. And it's getting worse as opposed to better. We are supposed to be here in the rebuild. Right now, we in the level up under where the Lions are with their rebuild. It's like I can see a scenario where, you know what? Trade them all and start all over again. That's how the Pistons look to me some nights. And I'm mad that we even spent this much time talking on the second worst team in the league because they don't even deserve it. Even though they is my team, but they don't deserve this love. Who else we talking about?
None of the teams from Detroit deserve love right now. All right. Next, I want to talk about the NCAA championship, the men's football championship.
Now, hold on, Hugh. You can't just jump off the NBA like that. That's what to say. We still got a couple teams we definitely got to talk about before we move on, my brother.
Okay.
For one, I know we ain't gonna move on and not talk about one Klay Thompson. Come on, man. You don't do Klay like that.
Klay was a necessity to already a team that had bulk and tons of luxury, man.
Do you realize what we're looking at here?
All-star added to an all-star team.
Do you realize how ugly this could get in another few weeks on that squad? Have you seen this team play, people? If you have not seen the Golden State Warriors play this season, please allow
where the hell Otto Porter Jr. come from? When I was watching the game on Christmas, the good thing about on Christmas, I was chilling at the crib, and it was like a little downtime before the late game that came on in the NFL. And I was like, damn, the game was too close for my comfort. I started to get nervous. Otto Porter Jr. on a night where I don't know what it is. It seems like Christmas is Steph Curry's kryptonite, man. He just don't really play well on Christmas. Otto Porter Jr. looked like he had a little bit of that splash in his vein. He couldn't miss nothing that game, man. It was incredible. And I was like, damn, when did Otto Porter Jr. go over there? I remember he was with the Washington Wizards,
And don't forget, it was a part of that game where Poole showed out too.
Him and Jordan Poole really stepped up when Steph Curry didn't do much, man. And it was impressive, man, because Poole has been playing at a high level. I didn't think he'd be playing at right now, man. I think he'll still be developing. He might get like maybe 15, 20 every other good night or so, but I didn't think that he'll be scoring like this at will. And it got my attention, man. And big ups to the Golden State Warriors, too, for keeping my man's Gary Payton Jr. for the rest of the season, man, because he definitely deserved it.
Because he has some nights where he's looking as good as Dad defensively.
I agree, man.
And like I said, he is very athletic in terms of rebounding. He can check multiple positions. They got a lot to work with over there at Golden State. And remember, they brought Klay in, and he looked good early on. But then they still got Wiseman coming back eventually too. And if he lives up to half the potential that he has at 7 foot, with his ability to score and rebound and defend, it could get really, really interesting out there in the West between them and the Suns.
And Stephen ain't smoked about that. He said, man, if all these guys get back healthy and playing at the level they playing with the bench being it's just as strong as the starter, he said, man, it's going to really get ugly and Golden State can win at least 3 titles easy in the next 4 to 5 year span.
I mean, because think about it. You got Steve Kerr over there with the embarrassment of riches. It's going to be some nights where he can be like, you know what? Y'all go ahead and play the starters this first quarter. Y'all going to rest up the rest of the night. That way the league ain't mad at us for resting y'all. But I'm just going to let everybody else play tonight. And I still got so many good players on this bench between them and Iguodala and everybody else that we still going to win. And the people still going to be entertained. It's still going to be a good
It happened already in a few games. It happened already where they let some of the guys rest. Because I remember one time, it was funny, man, because I seen on my Bleacher Report on Instagram the one night that some guys betted again, and they said that Draymond Green was going to score the first bucket. He got in the game. They did the jump ball. He shook their hands and went to the bench and just rested the rest of the game. And the guys was livid. But at the same time, it's like you never know what night they'll rest, man. And a few nights already they've rest Curry and they rest Draymond.
Right. And then, of course, I do want to briefly talk about the Phoenix Suns because who knew Chris Paul was still going to be playing on this level at his age?
Man, Chris Paul, I knew he was, man, due to the fact that when they put him on the Thunder, I said, man, they setting this man up to fail. And they went on a win streak and went to the playoffs and pushed the team that they played in the playoffs to the limits. And I was like, man, when he left, look how that team's playing now. And it's like, we give LeBron his props, but you still got to remember, he is a big man who can play point guard and play multiple positions. But as a leader and a general on the court, as good as Chris Paul is, man, he makes teams better, man, because I thought they just left him to die when he went to the Thunder. I said, this is definitely not right. And when he went to Phoenix, I said, why they keep putting him over here with these teams where he doesn't have enough around him. I looked to see Devin Booker, but then to see DeAndre Ayton playing, man, to seeing all these other kids and how he elevated their level. And Ayton definitely said when Chris Paul came on the team, that's when I start to elevate my game and I learned my potential and start playing better. And it's incredible, man, to see how he coexists with Devin Booker and a lot of the younger guys. And he's teaching them not to only be just the best professional they could be, but he's developing these guys into better basketball players, man. So, yeah, you definitely can't forget about Chris Paul and what he's bringing to the game with that Phoenix Sun team, man.
Absolutely. Okay, got to get some shout-outs here on Bigo. Thanks to Shock and Azim for coming through. Jay Mills in the building. T. Hurd came in the house. Thank all y'all for checking out the show. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for the gifts, by the way. Speaking of somebody with a good resume, we talking about LeBron James entering the top 10. Hell, look who at number 5. That would be one Chris Paul, 5th all-time in steals. Also already in top 10 in assists, top 50 in scoring. He got a nice little resume his own self.
He's going to probably go down as one of the best point guards, if not the best point guard in history, man, when his time is said and done.
Well, I know somebody that's trying to have a little say about that, and then we can move on to the list. I definitely got to mention somebody else that I saw show up and show out the other night. That would be Memphis Grizzly guard Morant. That brother, if he can stay healthy, he going to have something to say about all these championships, okay? The way he played the other night against the Lakers, did you see the one play, Hugh, where he went up and old boy went for the layup, and this dude reached to the top of the backboard, didn't block the shot, basically grabbed it and redirected it to somebody else, and then went running back down the court. His head was above the rim. His head was right there at the top of the backboard. Dude ain't but like 6'3". It's crazy.
What I'm afraid of with Jai is, man, I just don't want him to do that as much, man. Some of the stuff, and he's incredible. But I just want him to channel that, man, and pick and choose. But I don't want him to stop playing and being who he is, because when Derrick Rose, when D Rose was at his level, I used to be afraid when he used to jump up and dunk the ball like Barkley and could jump out the gym and do some of the things he did. And he got hurt that time. And I was like, damn, he ain't going to be the same. I thought he came back too soon in that playoff series. And when he hurt himself, he definitely wasn't the same. I like the fact that he changed his game and he's still a hell of a NBA player who can contribute to a team. But I just don't want nothing to happen to Ja to where he gets hurt. Because, man, this dude could jump out the building. I seen him run up and try to contest a player's three-point basket, and he was up there as high as the guy launched that basketball. He was up there with it, man. And I'm like, man, this dude could jump out of the gym, and he's incredible. I've never seen a guy his height who can jump like that, man. And I just don't want him to hurt himself and be a shell of who he is, man. That's the only problem that I have with Ja. And that ain't even no problem. That's just me, guy, and liking who he is and just want him to continue to play at that level.
And keep in mind, he ain't just a jumper, man, y'all. He is definitely showing that he has an ability to not only distribute the ball, but also shoot it well. Basically, take him, people like Trae Young, people on that level, and the NBA looking real good for years to come. I ain't gonna lie. But that being said, let me get Hugh back control of the show. I keep throwing a little extra stuff in there, throwing off his levels and stuff. My bad, Hugh. Go ahead, man.
It's cool, man. I want to talk about the championship game from Monday, and I want to know your thoughts and opinions on the game.
Alabama lost.
I looked at that game, and I'm not even worried about it, E.
He mad.
Both of those guys are sophomores on that team.
You mad. Admit you mad your team lost.
Nope, because you know why? Because I thought that was the Georgia team that was supposed to show up on the championship week when they played Alabama. I definitely wasn't disappointed because that team gonna still be there for the next 2-3 years, E.
Well, Hugh, you the guru. I know you seen this story today.
I seen the linebackers going, or that definitely kind of caught me off guard.
Basically, and since the championship game
I'm happy with that move. Huh?
No, since the championship game on Monday, 9 players, 7 from Alabama and 2 from Georgia, have entered the transfer portal just since Monday. It's crazy because in the end, it don't really affect either program because of how many great talented players that they still have despite that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not worried about that, E. That's the least of my concerns. But I already seen the sloppiness and the inconsistencies on Alabama earlier in the year that I was concerned about. They just had a good way of covering it, man. This game right here just basically showed. I just didn't feel like Bryce Young was ready for the big show yet.
Well, see, here's the thing, Hugh. In any other year, Alabama wins that title game. They win it by about 2-3 touchdowns. Because in the end, the reason why they won most of their games this year, talent trumps all that other stuff you talked about. Was it the best Alabama team ever? No, we talked about that several times on the show. But in the same token, and looking at them as opposed to some of the other teams that I saw, my Wolverines included, they had enough talent to make up for all these deficiencies you speak of. The thing is, when it comes to Georgia, you have to remember they had the more seniors and juniors on that squad. They had cohesion in terms of playing together and playing time.
Absolutely.
And that's
because to give Georgia credit, man. They played a sound game. The quarterback session looked great, surprisingly, and the guys showed up, man. And I wasn't surprised with that because I felt like they played too soft that game when they played in the championship game, and I felt like they looked at it where they just felt like all they had to do was show up and win, and Alabama had something different for them. And regardless of the fact, man, it still left a sour taste in my mouth due to the fact that it was 2 SEC teams. Yeah, they were the best 2 teams in college, but at the same time, they got to do better, and that has to be fixed. That was one of
that's what they're working on in these next couple of weeks. They're working on the expansion plan, and right now, They're talking about anything between 6 and 16 teams. 16 teams definitely too much.
I want to ask you, how would you feel to see Green Bay and the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl? How would you feel about that?
Repeat that.
How would you feel if you seen Green Bay and Tampa Bay, the Bucks and the Packers in the actual Super Bowl? How would you feel about that?
Well, here's the thing, that's apples and oranges. You kind of can't compare those two things to each other. Understand, NFL would love that. Okay, you got two quality teams in the Super Bowl. Don't nobody know who to bet on. There is no clear favorite that way. Either one of those teams could pull it out either way. That's good for all parties involved. That's good for the NFL. That's good for Vegas. That's good for everybody else. Now in college, that's a different story because it does not help college that the SEC is the dominant football program. Okay, particularly since they're not the dominant program in all of college basketball, well, all college sports, because that varies based on what sport it is. For the same,
All right, look at it like this, E.
uh-huh.
You wouldn't want to. I don't think that it'll be ethical to put the NFC against each other or the AFC against each other in a Super Bowl. That's why they split them up in the NFC and AFC and made it to the point where the Super Bowl comes out where it has an NFC representative and an AFC representative. I just feel like they need to get to the basics, man. And like you said, it's going to take a minute in college. They're working on this, so we can't trip out. Because remember, we used to didn't even have no playoff games or nothing. They'll pick who they feel like who should be the champion. And that was the worst thing ever. And to
Right.
do what they're doing right now was cool. It still got some bumps in the road, but I still feel like they'll get it together, which when they put the 14 playoff together, that actually made strides, hella strides. I think it's only going to get better. Like you said, 16 would probably be too extreme, but to have 8 teams, I think that would be reasonable.
I agree. It should definitely be 8. You get the 5 big conferences. They get to have a team in. You get your 2 outright bids, and then your Cincinnati's and stuff of the world. They will basically be that 8th team, and you have them play it out, and it goes for. And in the end, after 3 rounds, we still get Georgia, Alabama. Can't be mad at that. But right
Nope.
now, we already know whether they switch to next year or 5 years from now. We know for the next year or two, it's going to be them basic 6 or 7 teams in the mix. Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, and throw one in there. It's
You can throw like Baylor or OSU in there, the Oregon State,
You basically it's going to be one of them 6 or 7 teams that's going to win these next 2-3 championships. That's the part that is the problem. Right now, the way the NFL is situated, you cannot come and, we'll talk about that in a minute, I'm sure. There is no team where you say outright, that team is winning the Super Bowl right now. I cannot pick out one of these 16 teams and say, yeah, that's the one for sure. No doubt about it. That's
bad. I want to pump my brakes too.
You said what now?
I want to pump my brakes too, and this is something I was going to sprinkle in. This was something you sent me, and I really thought was intriguing, and it was brought my interest. We're not going to sit up and talk a lot about baseball, but we definitely want to bring this to the forefront because of the fact is we need to bring more female equality to the sports world or the Game Time Audible, and we need to sprinkle that in a little more than often. Yes, sir. Minor league.
Hey, what up, Michelle?
Okay.
What up, Media to CJ? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Hugh.
This lady from the minor leagues right now is making strides with the New York Yankees club. I'm not sure if I got her name right, but it's Rachel Dalkovic.
Not bad, not bad. Yeah, go with that.
And yeah, man, to see her being one of the first female coaches, no matter what it's in right now, minor league is just a stepping stone, man. That's just basically letting you know that it will be a female coach in the MLB soon, man. As much as me and you like to watch the MLB and baseball circuit, I believe when we finally do get the first female coaches, that's going to make strides, man. I don't know what team it's going to be on.
Hold on, we got to clarify that. You saying female coach because we used to talk about other sports where the coach is the boss. Remember, the manager is the boss in baseball, and she is the first female
Yeah.
manager in MLB. Hey, what's going on, babe? What's going on, Miss Cher? How y'all doing? Yeah, go ahead, Hugh.
Oh no, it was on you, man.
Oh, okay, well, basically, like I said, that's a very good move. Yankees are definitely taking the forefront on this thing. I definitely would like for that to be something that's normalized within the next 5 to 10 years. Remember, at this point, we don't really talk about it in the NFL, for instance, because there are now several female assistants in NFL. The question of the day is, we got about 7 teams now looking for a head coach. Will one of them possibly at least get an interview? Will we get to the point where we have the Rooney Rule extended to where not only do you have to interview one black candidate, but also one female candidate? I would love to see that in the NFL. I love to see that
They
in all.
definitely do that because I know you heard the rule that they talking about. Basically tweaking the Rudy rule because they feel like it's something that hasn't been really took it for advantage, and I think they got a loophole and they found their ways past the Rooney rule. That's one of the reasons why I feel like they're going to tweak it and do some different things to it. And yeah, that's pretty good too, man, to see a female manager and the person who running the show. And it's only going to excel and it's going to probably hit the MLB soon. I want to know what's going to hit first. Is it going to be the NFL or the NBA? But yeah, man, it looked like those strides right now is already hitting them. They're getting closer to home with the NBA, man. So yeah, I just want to see a move like that, man. And that was awesome for the Yankees organization for they're being an evil empire, but at the same time, people look at them now and they're basically setting the tone for the women in the pro sports. And yeah, that was a really good move, man. I was definitely happy to see that.
Right now,
And to see it more often.
the only thing I'm finding discouraging is if you go on her social media accounts right now, it's a lot of blowback in terms of people and their opinion on that. And I really find that to be disgusting and deplorable. Bottom line is there are these things, what we call the internet bullies, that are just freely speaking on people outside of the environment that is the real world. But if they were to meet that person face to face, they probably would not have the same things to say. I really hate that, not only about this situation, but just in general. I mean, I kind of want to go out of the sports world and talk about it briefly in terms of that. Yesterday, there was that discussion in the Senate about the latest with COVID restrictions and whatnot. And one Dr. Fauci got into it with one of the senators, Rand Paul. And based on that discussion, his social media has been overwhelmed with hateful comments. That's why you don't know what you're talking about. You the reason why we got COVID. I can't wait to see you in the street. All these crazy comments that people are making on social media that just don't make any sense whatsoever. You cannot possibly hate that man the way some of these people play it. They even found somebody last week that they pulled over on a traffic stop and come to find out he had these weapons in the car. And in the end, he revealed to them, yeah, I was about to head down there to kill Dr. Fauci. What are we doing here, people? Is it really that deep when we just see things and we just don't like what it's looking like? That your favorite team, the Yankees, has hired a girl to be a manager? That's just stupid to me on so many levels. It really bothers
me. Yeah, that's what the world come through today, man. A lot of cyber bullies and hate. A lot of them hide behind their computers and everything, man, and won't show up face to face. But that's just what we deal with now, man. You'd rather be a bully online rather than be a bully face to face and own up to what you say.
Yeah, that definitely is that. Okay, we having that problem again, Hugh. We got to try to figure out who this is so we get them a proper acknowledgement. Shout out to Bay for that lottery. Appreciate you, niece. But yeah, folks, it is in an ideal world, it's just like with any other job, whether you be male, female, black, white, polka dot, or other. If you are the best person for the job, you should be the person that gets the job, period. It should not matter.
Yeah, man, before we get into the football, man, I'm going to hit you with something you don't even know first when we do. But I want to take a commercial break right quick, man. And yeah, I want to jump into the NFL because it's something I feel like you need to know, and I think it'll interest you.
All right. Well, as y'all know, Guru is running the show And of course, as usual, my friend decided to say the football talk for last because it's his favorite. We all know that. I pick on him every week about it. You see him making it like, damn, E, why you got to say that every week? Because you still have to prove me wrong. One of these weeks, you're going to be like, yeah, this week, we're going to talk about this first. Either that or we're going to get to the week after the Super Bowl. This is going to be like, oh, I can't wait to see what you talk about this week, Hugh. Football gone. Now what we going to do? But until we get we definitely, I mean, all jokes aside, we definitely got to talk some NFL because, as I told my mans, this in my mind was one of the best NFL football seasons ever. And last week was definitely one of the best weeks for football I have ever seen in my 50 plus years of life. Thank you, Miss. Thank you, niece. I see y'all. In the meanwhile, let's take this commercial break, like you said, so we can get some drinkings going on and show a couple of these commercials. When we come back, I'm going to say go, and then you go, sir. You know what we're saying. Yes, but, yeah, if you are interested in some of the other things this man talks about, because he don't always talk this all football and fairness. Sometimes he brings up other subjects, and a good way to find it out.
We got to find out who this is, man, because they feeling me right now. They said they get sad when the season over with, man. I be having anxiety.
See what I'm saying? But, yeah, check out. This is what this dude does when he ain't smirking with me. Check it out.
Have you been scrolling Facebook and looking for that quick sports fix? Want a quick peek of what's going on in the latest sports news? Check out Pure to the Game sports blog with the sports guru, QD Lee. He'll get you together. Check it out. Follow it on Facebook. Make sure you like it.
Hello. It's another glorious day, my T-Sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comforts together because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
Black on, get into it. Black on, look at that David Ford right there, that's his thing. Black on, he don't know Tom. Look at that David Ford, that's his thing. He don't know Tom. Yeah. Yes! Oh, here we go. Oh, I can see the demons. I can't see the demons, but I can see the light.
We are creating black luxury across this country.
All right, we are back at Gametime Audible. I'm in the building with my man Hugh. Shout out to David Ford, the designer extraordinaire. Please keep him and his mother in your prayers. She has been going through some health issues, but she is a battler and she's been battling strong and she's hanging in there. And we pray for continued strength and wellness. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, can I get an amen, brother?
Amen.
Right on, right on. So that being said, we are back to the show. And without further ado, my man's favorite time of the show, NFL Talk, is here. And I got to let him get to it. Go.
I haven't did this in a while, not both of us, man. I got to hit you with an audible right quick.
Uh-oh.
Right now, I'm going to tell you the live scores, man, of the games, what's going on in the NBA, the live scores.
Let's definitely do that. What you got?
Boston is handling the Pacers 109-87.
Nice.
Right now, the Hornets are up pretty decent right now, 99-88 against the 76ers, which is pretty big because I already been telling you how good they've been playing, man, the Hornets. So, yeah, to see that and see how they're convincingly beating the Sixers, that's actually impressive, man. The Wizards look like they about to pull away with this game. They up right now with 48 seconds. They up 108 to 102 over the Magic. I mean, but, come on now, that's the Magic. The Heat up on the Hawks right now, 79-64, still in the third quarter. But the surprising game right now is the Mavericks, man. They getting handled by the Knicks, 78-59.
I called it, didn't I? I called
it. You did.
I got that money on it. Keep handling y'all business. The Knicks at home, and they want to show Mr. Porzingis that you made the wrong choice, bro.
Now I'm about to hit you with the news of the day that I saw, man. I don't know if you saw it or not. But the LA Rams, I don't know how people look at it, but I know Antonio Tillman would definitely be happy to hear this news. I don't know how much is going to play a part or integral part of them going to the next level, but it still was pretty huge to see that my man's safety, Eric Waddle, came out of retirement, and he definitely was going to be one of those pieces that they needed over there at the safety spot. I think they had an injury of somebody on IR, so I think that they called him out of retirement now to try to play at that position.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it because at this point, anybody could come along and be like, look, I can help out for a minute. And because the way NFL is set up, yeah, come on, we can use you. Put you straight in the lineup. You ain't played all year. You ain't played in a couple years. And now here you come because you want to tag along and get a ring.
And they use that practice squad crap now like a portal, E. They'll have you over there and they'll have you play for like a couple of weeks or so to see if you still in football shape and see if you still got a little bit in you. And then they'll put the person on IR, keep that person on IR who they know is injured, is not going to come back. And then that's when they bring people in. And I feel like LA already made some crazy moves, man. It's like they kind of selling themselves out for a championship now.
Let me bring up one, Le'Veon Bell, for instance. This dude had been on about 5 teams in the last 2 years. And they him when he hurt, and they need a couple reps right quick. And then he just goes sit on the bench and is allowed to go on here and catch him a ring. And that very man way happened with him over there with the Bucks, because now that they got the big fella coming back, Mr. Fort, Mr. Fournette, playoff Lenny, as they call him.
They whole squad came back. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Just like they planned.
I think Jason Pierre-Paul, Levante David. I seen Fournette.
Richard
everybody.
Speaking of people that's tagged along to try to get that ring. So, yeah, that being said, I don't like this move. I ain't happy with it. I ain't impressed by it. I don't care about it. It's bull. It's straight up bull. Calvin Johnson could come tomorrow and be like, yeah, let me go on ahead and hook up with my boy Matthew one more time. And it's legal. It's all legal.
Do you think they should put a stop to that right now, Ian? Say, okay, you've been out to league.
In the basketball
protocol to even play on an NFL team.
It's just like in MLB. They don't let you do that crap.
Oh, no.
just jump off, and then in the playoffs, like, yeah, at the last minute, you know what? Let me be on y'all team, Michael. If they allowed that like that, then basically they'll get the point like, well, I understand I played for the Lions all year, but they're gonna cut me at the end of the year anyway. My contract over now, so I can't go play for another team. It's gonna get to that point, and that's gonna hurt the smaller market teams, because then that means they superstar be like, no, this time me for a year-to-year deal, so that at the end of the year, when it's time for the playoffs, I ain't gonna hook up with one of them right quick and get me a ring. And then if I won't come back and play for y'all next year, nah, I don't like it. I don't like it.
Hey, man, I want to talk about some of the games that happened, man. One of the games that really pissed me off, it surprised me that I didn't even think was going to be a game at first, man. And I'm glad I didn't bet on that game. The Colts, man, they did the biggest choke job that I've ever seen in history. If you told me that game was going to go that way, I'd have laughed in your face, man. I was so disgusted.
I'm going to tell you now, because in the end, I told you, I bet that game, and I did not bet the straight up who was going to win or lose, because I assumed that Jacksonville was going to lose. But I bet the under. And like I said, I got the receipts. Yeah, I made that money. One, because the Colts had Carson Wentz at quarterback. And I knew that their game plan was going to be to try to get him involved more, so that if they made the playoffs and they would not have to rely strictly on the running game, that he would be ready. That's where they made the mistake. They played this game like, yeah, a little practice round we got going on before we make the playoffs. We already know Jacksonville ain't got no coach. They just ready to finish the season up. They ain't going to have no pride. But see, that's where they messed up at. That's where several teams messed up at this week, because they figured the team that they was playing was not as invested because they were in the playoffs or they wasn't going and what have you. That's why several of those games came out the way that they did, a.k.a. the Lions. Because you figure, yeah, they already got their number 2 pick and all that. Jacksonville already got their number 1 pick. So, yeah, they're not going to play hard. Surprise, sucker.
The crazy part about that game, too, was the fact that they didn't even seem like they were prepared and came to play. Like they were supposed to put on their, put on their jerseys and go out there and just crush Jacksonville, and they had something different to say about it. And the Colts really looked bad. I knew that the Steelers were going to win against the Raiders. Nobody wanted to bet me. I definitely felt like they were too, because the Huntley kid was in. No disrespect to him, because he's been playing pretty good. But Mark Andrews has been in security blanket, and he started to get too reliable on him. And I just feel like, I don't know what it is about the Browns, but Marquise Brown, it seems like when it comes to the big show and the big lights, it seems like he choke a lot, man. And I just don't feel like when it's all like the pressure on him that he can handle it. You got to give credit to Ben, because he's not as good as he was in the past, but he did do enough to manage that game and get a field goal and win that game.
Yep, Miss Pat absolutely agrees with you on that one. Bottom line is that Steeler game was good, but that wasn't even one of the best 5 games this particular week, and several other weeks it might have been. I mean, bottom line is the Ravens, without their MVP, they did not win. Remember, he pretty much did not play those last 4 or 5 games, and they won not one of them. Without Lamar Jackson, they do not win. The offense is so geared around his skill set and what he is able to do that nobody else really fits it as well. Don't get me wrong, Huntley did a pretty decent job as his backup. And even when he got hurt, the backup behind him did okay. But all that being said, it just ain't the same. Just like last year when he got hurt and you had your man RG3 playing for a while. That worked out okay, but just not to the extent that you needed it to. Without that ability of Lamar Jackson to basically be Michael Vick 3.0, it just don't make them the same team.
All right, E, I want to talk to you about this game right here, man.
You drop it, Mark.
Derrick Henry will be coming back soon, but would you be concerned, though, the way that they played against the Texans? Because the Texans didn't have nothing to play for. But that team has been playing really hard the last 3 weeks, man. And I definitely been keeping my eye on that. But I know when Derrick Henry gets back, that it's going to be a totally different ball game. But I think that they start to get too reliable on Ryan Tannehill. I think that's what that's what they want to do, is showcase him when Derrick Henry was out. And a lot of times they came up short, man. You can't depend on Tannehill, especially when he gets too trigger happy.
Every time Jamal doesn't play, they lose. I think she basically meant Lamar, but yeah, exactly. But see, the thing is, granted, Tennessee, they do have Derrick Henry, and he is definitely the X factor in these playoffs. With that being said, they are not lost without him. They plugged in other running backs, and they still were able to run the ball. They plugged in different receivers when they had receiver issues. They still work. Bottom line, they are a complete team. They have a good defense and a good offense, so that when they play, you still have a problem. Not to mention that their coach learned from one of the very best of all time, and Coach Belichick. So there's that.
I was surprised to see Julio actually played well that game too. If they could have got him along his year without all the injuries and all, I think that it had definitely been a little bit more dangerous. I thought it was going to be more dangerous at the beginning of the year, but he just wouldn't connect with Tannehill. But at the same time, I still feel like going into the playoffs and with the adversities they face, and for them to be in the position they're in, still number one, man, that's going to be scary when it comes playoff times, especially when Henry come back, man. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, we got you, Miss Pat Typo. I got you.
And then at the same time, too, not only a well-rested Derrick Henry who's practicing and who's going to be put to the offense, but a team that's on a weak bye as well. So they're going to be well-rested. Sometimes that bye could be feast or famine because the feast or famine comes from where you rest sometimes. You get a little bit too rusty, man. Some of the guys who already been playing and clicking, they still hit stride. And most times they hit stride like that. But I still feel like this team right here is battle tested. They got a veteran coach. And like you said, Bill Belichick influenced. I think he'll have those guys prepared. If they won't be ill prepared, they'll be ready to go against whoever they play.
I completely agree with that. Speaking of some of them other games, you got to get into some of them other games for me, Hugh.
Yeah, I was just about to do that. That 49ers-Rams game was like probably one of the better games I've seen. I liked it because of the fact that the one thing, I see you shaking your head, E. Let me say what I'm going to say. This is not you right now. It's my opinion. You speak your own. I was happy.
Go ahead, Hugh. I'll tell you why. That ain't why. Go ahead.
I was happy because I think I kind of know why you shaking your head. And I'm going to let you vent on that one. I love Matthew Stafford. I'm going to start off with that, E. I love Matthew. But I told one of my boys that game, I said, Matthew Stafford hasn't been looking so good lately. And it ain't really because of the fact that he converted back to the Lion days. I think when they were 500 team with Caldwell, he started to convert back into that. I think he started to rely too much on the passing game. And I've seen Sonny Michel run pretty good. They got Cam Akers back too, and he's a hell of a running back. Please stop passing all the damn time. Pick and choose your battles. He was passing too much in that last play. I was like, man, I looked up. Remember, I texted you. I said, damn, Jimmy Garoppolo just gave that game away. He just threw a pick, and they went down to score. LA let them come back down to score. And then when they went to overtime, they kicked the field goal. And I told my boy, I said, Stafford going to try to do too much, man. And he's going to play hero ball like he always do. And he's going to mess around and he's about to lose this game for them. I said, I'm not a betting man, but I bet my house against that. Sure enough, E, what did he do on the first damn play? He threw it deep, the offensive tackle, and he underthrew it. The guy went under it, a rookie at that. He looked, saw the ball in the air. He knew it was underthrown, got the interception. And that was an incredible catch. It was like Matthew Stafford designed the play for him because he caught the ball. One leg came in, his butt fell down on the ground. Game over. Not only did you mess up and lose the number 2 seed, but now you got to play a team that whooped you guys this year. Need to say, of course, they don't got D-Hop, so it's going to be a little different now, but I still feel like that team with Buda Baker, JJ being back, and a lot of those defensive guys, Chandler Jones, one of them, still going to get them fixed, man. I still feel like they're going to get fixed. I just feel like in this case, man, everybody thought the Rams was going to run off with it. I'm not saying they won't beat the Cardinals, easier said than done. But at the same time, man, you can start to see when it comes to the big games and the spotlight, man, it just seems like Matthew Stafford just basically don't play to a high level. And that's been my issue with him in Detroit. And now he got all the weapons in the world and is still doing some of the same and making some of the same bad mistakes that he made in the past.
All right, we done here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Short and sweet. First of all, 49ers did not get enough credit, okay? That's a good football team over there. Shout out to Garoppolo for silencing all the critics who said he couldn't get it done, he couldn't stay healthy enough, that Trey Lance was going to take his job and all of that. No, he did not turn out. Yeah, you was one of them. He did not turn out like Red Rifle over there a while ago. He proved that, yeah, I still got the goods. In the end, when we look at winning percentages for quarterbacks currently playing in the NFL, one of the highest winning percentages is held by one James Garoppolo, okay? He gets it done. Bottom line, he has had no losing seasons at quarterback. He makes it happen. He has been to a Super Bowl. He is capable of getting that. He has a team. One of the best wide receivers in all of football plays on that team.
But what he do in that Super Bowl, though, E-Buck?
You said what now?
What he do in that Super Bowl?
He showed up and got showed out. That's what happened. 49ers played good. Yes, they did. And that's the thing. Everybody's talking about basically how Matthew gave up that game, but they're not giving enough credit to the team that won that game. That's part of why I'm shaking my head.
What was up with those?
Matthew is who I thought he was. I'm not surprised by that. The key for the Rams now is to set Matthew up to where, look, you ain't got to do all this by yourself, okay? We're going to design these plays where you ain't got to feel like you got to air it out. You know you got your security blanket. Cooper will be there for you, buddy. I understand you trying to keep Odell happy, but this the playoffs now. If all he do is be the decoy for the whole game, you let that nigga be salty with the ring on his finger. Okay?
Hey, E, I have a question for you, too. Do you think that they're going to pay heavy attention and they're going to double team Cooper Kupp?
They're going to triple team Cooper Kupp. Is you crazy? It's three receivers that basically they might as well practice like that all week. Him, of course, we got to talk about Hunter Renfrow over there in Oakland. He going to get triple team. And then basically for the 49ers, Debo going to get triple team. They might as well get ready for it. You got to do that. That's the key to winning all three of them games against all three of them teams. But bottom line, they're doing that most of the season in the Cup. And you still didn't almost had 2,000 yards receiving. So, you know, like it matter.
Yeah, I want to get into that game too, E, man, because that game was really impressive, man. And
what game
you got to give props to him, man. That Raiders in charge of game. I'm glad they did what they did. They had to do that for last because that game had all the theatrics, man. It was like a cliffhanger movie. You couldn't wait to see what was going to happen next. And those guys showed they bust out, man. But regardless of the fact, even in a losing effort, man, I still think Hubbard's a problem, man. Hubbard's a problem.
Man, let me tell you, I went to lay down that night, thinking I'm just gonna check in to see what's going on with that game. I'm gonna see who winning. I come on there and the Raiders winning by a little bit, but Herbert got the ball. I'm like, okay, I'll go on and check out a few plays. Basically, by play 5, I got the soundtrack playing in my head. Dun, 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 dun. I hear Matt like, now see, check this guy out. He's got that Brett Favre thing going right now. You know, I'm hearing all these things. I'm hallucinating almost as I'm watching this dude just make incredible play after incredible play with his arm, with his legs, with his vision. I'm like, dude, Lions fucked up. That's who they should. That was clearly the number 1 pick that year, okay? Because Justin Herbert is the future. I'm looking forward to seeing many games between him and Patrick Mahomes, him and Justin Fields. The league is in good hands with people like that because that dude, you forget he only about 24, okay?
Yeah.
He played like a 12-year veteran in that game. And shout out to Carr as well. Because, you know, many people that threw him on the trash heap over the years. But remember, before he got hurt, and what was that, year 2, he was the MVP candidate.
Really?
They both played very well that game, but Herbert in particular. Some of them throws he made, some of the catches that they made. I mean, I ain't seen nobody throw the ball that hard consistently since John Elway. I mean, he was putting it in places no other quarterback, including Patrick Mahomes and the potential MVPs, could have put the ball to make that happen. It was just incredible. So here I am an hour later. I'm still watching this damn game. And they saying, I wonder if Coach Tomlin's up watching this game. Now, he claimed he was asleep. He a lie. He watched that whole damn game like we did. It was that game. I did not go to bed. I could not. I had to know who won that game. That was the best game of regular season football that I have seen in probably 20 years.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think close to that was the game where San Francisco made the playoffs on the catch by Terrell Owens.
Oh, yeah, against the Giants. Yeah, well, Jay had Jeremy Shockey. That game could have went anyway. That was one of my favorite games.
But, yeah, out of all the games last Sunday, that was the best of the best that I saw. Because
glad they saved it to last, too.
I must admit, I got to the point, Hugh, because remember, the scenario was that they ended up being in a tie, then both of them would have made the playoffs and Pittsburgh would have been out.
It was possible. It was possible. It was funny to pick it up that way.
They almost kind of had that look like, should we go on and do it? The coach was like, no, go on, throw the kicker in. We winning this bitch. Fuck that.
I just felt bad for the Chargers, man. Like you said, man, can't take away from Derek Carr. And people got to realize, man, what they went through this year, man. They lost their coach, you know, due to his own, you know, actions.
That pump
they lost their wide receiver, their deep threat wide receiver, man. And it was just so much stuff going on with those guys, man. And, you know, one of the guys got in trouble, you know, threatening somebody with a gun. And it was just a lot of, you know, stuff that was going on over there that didn't make them look good. And when the coach was gone and the players got released, those was like first-round picks. And I didn't think that they were going to actually do well after that. Who y'all think is going to win? The 49ers play the Cowboys. I think the 49ers go win. Hey, anytime the Cowboys lose, it's a win for me.
Well, you know, that, of course, puts me in mind of our good friend H2 whenever we get to talk about the Cowboys. I really hate that I was not able to have that discussion. Because remember, H2 was the one that was saying throughout the season, this is going to be a season like no other. Because every week We just did not know who was going to win, who was going to lose. Yeah, you know it. But bottom line is, I couldn't help but think about that in that moment after the game was over. Like, damn, because that's the first thing I would have did under normal circumstances. Knowing H2 would have been up watching that game just like we was, I would have called H2 and be like, "Look, you see that? And we probably would talk about it for a whole hour and a half about that and the cowgirls and everything else." So, yeah, that's that. But that being said, I only want the Cowboys to win because H2 would have wanted the Cowboys to win, And since my team ain't in it, then I at least wanted H2 to be happy. So she could talk her each.
It's going to be hard against that 49ers core, man. But at the same time, though, like you said, you cannot count those boys out because the Cowboys got Trevon Diggs. They got Parson. Man, they got so many good guys on defense. Randy Gregory. It's just really who plays the best because that's one of the strengths of the Cowboys is their defense. Guess who other team has a huge strength at defense? 49ers, man. But Nick Bosa and all those guys on that end of the ball, man. It's going to be really a good game, too. It's going to be so old school minded, man. I definitely feel like that's going to have the old school 80s, 90s feel when Dallas Cowboys used to play the 49ers. And yeah, that's one game that I definitely know it's going to be interesting.
It's two matchups in that whole game that's going to probably determine the game. Basically, you're going to put your boy in. There's going to be a lot of running of the football. You see they have stressed that the last couple of weeks in Dallas. So basically, it's going to be Elliott against that line to see if they can stop him. And then, of course, the key matchup of the whole game, Diggs against your boy Debo. Who wants some of Debo? That is going to be the question. And then remember, we got some injuries over there with the wide receiver core for the Cowboys. But on the other hand, the X factor of that game is definitely going to be young Greg Kittle, man. If Kittle because they, will they put Micah Parsons on him, for instance? That'll be a good matchup. Or will they try to cover him with a cornerback or a safety? Good luck with that. So, that is going to be a very interesting game, I must admit. That being said, I actually think the Cowboys going to pull this one off. I'm going with the Cowboys by a field goal.
Yeah, man. I definitely, every time the Cowboys lost, man, I was loving that too because, that's when I made the best memes, man. For Helena, man, I would definitely make sure that H2 get it on the page too when I made fun of the Cowboys, man. But I definitely think they're going to fight this game. But, I had to go on this Pat, man. I'm going with the Niners too, man. Not because of Jimmy G. Not because of Jimmy G.
Well, that's going to be an interesting thing, too, in that game. Will we get some Trey Lance in that game? Remember, the original plan of the 49ers going into the season was to play both him and Jimmy G at points. And basically, he had packages set up for that. We did not see that as we went further. They abandoned it altogether. And Trey Lance only got to play when Jimmy G got hurt for a couple weeks. But what
Trey Lance played pretty good, though, man. The game he played, he looked like he was rusty at first, but he didn't play that bad, though. Definitely with some of the decision makers on the throws.
That's why I say I would not be surprised if they throw him in bits and pieces and let him get some love.
Since we already put some of that in there, that was some stuff I wanted to talk about too. Glad you had mentioned that, man, because I definitely want to talk about some of the games with the wild card games. You already know now since we already got it warm with the Raiders. How do you feel like they're going to play? Because I definitely want to see that Raiders Bengals game too.
The Raiders are playing who?
Cincinnati Bengals.
They playing who?
The Bengals.
The Bengals made the playoffs? How that happened?
Please.
Understand. Okay. Who had the number one pick last year?
The Bengals.
So how they make the playoffs?
Burrow.
They had the worst record in the league 2 years ago, and now they in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. You start to see them strides from him last year too before he got hurt because he was looking good last year, man. And then when he got hurt, that kind of slowed the process, man. Because I think he definitely would have been on a level where he would have took that momentum from the games that they won and took it to the this season. And the most impressive part about what they did, the Bengals, and with Joe Burrow as a leader, man, he's so relaxed and laid back, man. But to sweep the Steelers and to sweep the Ravens this year, man, that impressed me the most about them.
You a Ravens fan. Of course you don't like the Bengals, Miss Pat.
I don't like the Bengals.
Y'all hate each other. Pittsburgh Steelers don't like the Ravens, and the Ravens don't like them, and the Bengals don't like the Browns, and the Browns. We know how all that work over there. But that being said, who won that division?
The Bengals.
Who?
I just had to get mad at me. One of my homeboys from my job from Pittsburgh, man. And every time they used to play, like when they played this last weekend, I was like, "You watching the game?" And he was like, he said, "I'm gonna watch the game." I said, "Man, so how do y'all feel about that, man? Do y'all really hate the Ravens like that?" And these are the words that came out of his mouth. I hate them more than anything else in this world. Those fucking rat birds. That's what I heard they call them, rat birds.
It's crazy because back in the day, that's how the black and blue division used to be. The Lions used to hate the Bears, and the Bears hated the Lions, and Green Bay, and it'd be some of the most beat up, beat down, people getting stuck games of all time. I mean, you throw any of them in the mix, the Bears, Vikings, any of them, they all hated each other like that. Now,
Yeah.
when you talk about the division that hate each other the most, it's definitely that division. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Some of them games get real ugly.
Yeah, Miss Pat was mentioning the Seahawks too, man. I have a question. I was surprised, man, to see how they beat the Cardinals, man, because the Cardinals went up and they were up a comfortable score, man, to turn around and lose that game. And do you think it was more or less because a lack of concentration, or do you just feel like the Seahawks had their number that game?
People started to figure out the Cardinals. That's what that's about. Not to mention, they still ain't got D-Hop. Without D-Hop, that make them slightly better than average. You got no D-Hop, and you still got Kyler Murray not 100%. They are beatable. Anybody,
especially with AJ Green, man. He's been definitely. I don't think he's been a bigger disappointment than Julio. Julio had a whole bunch of injuries too on top of his disappointment season, but AJ Green has been a huge disappointment. They probably neck and neck with me. It's probably a tie between him and Julio, because you thought Julio would have definitely been a threat, and it would have been a good 1-2 punch with him and AJ Brown. The AJ Brown's proven to be the number one, wide receiver, bar none. Hell, it don't even seem like Julio most times is the number two. Again,
quick time out. I got to make this message. Okay, I was trying to line you. Yeah. Let me point out to my people on Bigo, when I am doing the podcast, I am not available to do any PKs. That's why usually I don't accept any lines when I'm doing the podcast, because that throws off everything they're doing. I usually let people know that every week, though. It seems like somebody wants to line me on Wednesday. So let me just put that out there. No disrespect. Any other time on Bigo, I am more than available to do any of that. But when I'm doing my podcast, we just doing podcasts. But I thank you for the gifts, and I thank you for coming through. I just wanted to explain what it was. No disrespect. Just, we doing what we do here. So, okay, sorry about that, Hugh. Go ahead, my brother.
All right, man. I want to go to another game too, man. This is going to be Ben's retirement party.
Good night, Jamaica Dow. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. Ben's retirement party, indeed. Here's the thing. I'm glad Ben is getting his flowers. Okay. Yeah, he done had his share of good and bad in his career. We know about the whole nightclub incident with the girl and all of that. but he done moved on in his life. He's married now with kids. He's an outstanding person in the community. He does a lot for the city of Pittsburgh. He does a lot for his hometown as well. Definitely could see him being in the booth after his career is over, or being a coach possibly. I can see him doing either of those things. Of course, he done made enough money in the league where he ain't got to do none of it. But bottom line is, it is time for them to move on. I'm real interested to see how Pittsburgh gonna play it out after the season. You know, will they be looking to be in the market for a new quarterback? Do they think they have what it takes with well, clearly they don't have it with Randolph. We need to move on from that. But you know, will Haskins actually get a legitimate shot? Will they go with the kid from Tennessee, or will they go ahead and try to pick up old boy out of Houston, or our good buddy Russell Wilson out of Seattle? I'm interested to see how they play it.
Or, you know, they've been saying now they got my man's as a bargaining chip too again. Even though the scary part is, which we hasn't really hit on, and I definitely want to hit on, man. I was very pissed off, man, when how they did Brian Flores, man. You know, he swept the Patriots this year, and the things he get was for them to dismiss him, man, unexpectedly.
No,
From the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I was disappointed in some. Well, some of the coach firings, man, it was like it didn't surprise me, like when they were going to move on from Joe Judge. You know, I mean, did you hear that John Mayer said that this was the lowest he ever felt like the Giants were, and they're the lowest on the low this season. So I kind of figured that was it for Judge. But the crazy part is, it's two floating coaches that was out there. Joe, I didn't think was that bad. He was just in a bad situation. But I was hearing one thing, man. They better not let Brian Flores go over there to Chicago. That's all I'm saying.
We don't even have enough time to get into that conversation, because we're going to throw two names in the mix, and that's a whole half hour right there. You throw Flores and you throw my man Jim Harbaugh, and we'll be talking for the next hour and a half. Don't even do it. We'll say that for next week.
We about to get into the other games, E. First we could go into the Buccaneers and Eagles, man. What you call that one? That's the reason why I want to say that, because you called that game, E. I was like, man, what do you think that they're going to be playing? And you said the worst thing, or the best thing, or the worst thing can happen. You said that it's a possibility with the games and the way they're played. I don't know what you bet or what you were saying, E, but a lot of the stuff one of the main things came out accurate was the 49ers came and they played, which I had to look and do my research too. I found out they were 6-0 against the Rams in the last few years. So they had a Rams number, man. And to see that they were 5-0, then this made them 6-0. You said, I believe the 49ers will upset the Rams, and then they will go on and lose their spot. But I didn't know that the Cowboys was going to lose when they lost at the time, when they lost to the Cardinals too. So that made it easy pickings for the Buccaneers to move up to that spot and play the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, that game was a little different at the beginning of the year, but now I think what made the Philadelphia Eagles a little more dangerous, because one thing I've noticed with the Bucs that they have problems with scrambling quarterbacks, because they're using the RPO and using it for Jalen Hurts' strength. He's a great distributor in passing the ball, and he can use his legs. And I think that's going to be dynamic, and that's going to help them out. Their defense is decent, and then they got a lot of healthy people coming back, like Fletcher Cox. So they're going to make the game interesting. But what I'm seeing, though, is with them getting my man's playoff Lenny back and getting that defense back with JPP, Vontae Davis, and all those guys, man. I'm just looking at it like, if you mess around and let Brady get the ball more than he should, this game can get ugly. I think it's still going to be a game where they may win by 10 points, but at the same time, man, it could even be closer depending on how the game is played and how, the scheme of things are because they defense is actually pretty good over there in Philadelphia, but I definitely feel like the Buccaneers can't go off into a slow start like they did several games in the last few weeks.
Bucks all day. Period.
What you think? You think what you think the line gonna be? You think they're gonna be an 8.5 favorite, or you think they're gonna be a little more?
I said they're gonna be somewhere around about that touchdown favorite or so. I got
Oh,
Bucks all day. Money line, line, straight bet, Bucks.
the X factor in this one to me is like you said, Fournette's coming back. You still got Evans, regardless of the banged up guys. Now you got Scotty Miller back healthy, and he's a speedster. And man, big ups to Brad Perriman, man, for really stepping his game up, man. And he really been stepping his game up over there. And that track star dude too, Cyril Grayson, which they need those guys right now, man. And I feel like if Brady can't trust him, he's gonna go to the guys he's always trusting, and that's Scotty Miller. He's gonna go to Gronk, and he's gonna go to Mike Evans. So they better try to get the opportunities while the opportunity's good. Or guess what? They're going to be at home, or they're going to be on the bench not getting the ball. But
and you forget other factors. You got Drake, that's actually pretty decent tight end his own. You got OJ Howard. Don't forget about that. And hell, you could scrap the whole thing, throw Le'Veon back. And remember, Le'Veon's a very good catcher out of the backfield. So you got that.
He was one of the best at catching the football out the backfield, man. It was incredible how good he was with Pittsburgh catching the ball, man. And they put a little bit of that in the game too, the game plan with Le'Veon Bell, man. That's something that people didn't give him enough credit on, man, is how good he is as a receiver too. I agree with you.
I compare him to one great that I saw in my lifetime. That's one Marshall Faulk. That is a player, man.
We're gonna get into the game, the last game too. That'll be on the well, it's not the last game of the week, but it's one of the games that I wanted to speak upon. Getting a little tired of seeing them play each other, man. And it was kind of funny that it landed like this just recently too. The New England Patriots playing the Buffalo back home.
You know he had to save this game for last, y'all. You know you had to the whole show to talk about them doggone Patriots. I assume you have them winning that game.
Nope.
What?
What I believe is Mac Jones, he made some bad decisions, but I think they should have let him loose and take the training wheels off of him early and let him make some of those mistakes. But they didn't.
Here's my question. We give you $50. How much of that $50 you betting on Buffalo?
15.
So, yeah, you're not that confident about it. Not at all. Bottom line is they done played each other twice. Buffalo won one. Patriots won one. The one that the Patriots won was in a big, sloppy, wet, windy mess. The one Buffalo won was in the cold. You know Patriots ain't worried about no cold. That's what they're playing.
And I'm hearing it's going to snow.
There's a possibility of snow in that game. In fact, that appears to be the one game on the schedule where weather may be a factor. But all that being said, Buffalo should win that game. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots did. That's out of all of the playoff games, that's probably the one game I'm not smurfing with. That truly could go either way. Because Belichick has made an entire living out of taking away the best thing that you do and using it to his advantage.
You know what's crazy too? We seen this happen before, E. And I don't know if you remembered it, but I remember it as good as day. Remember when the Rams lost in the season, and when they lost that game, who was their assistant coach or who was their offensive coordinator at the time? It was Josh McDaniels. And after they lost, what happened? They wasn't in the playoffs. Bill Belichick said, "Hey man, we could use some advice from you, man. Put them on board as like a coach or like." He gave him some type of crazy name. We knew he was going to be a coach who basically knew what the Patriots did, schematic and things, and how they ran things, and brought him in just basically to get some little advice and kind of pick at him and see what he could do as far as pointers. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it's going to happen if he do the same thing with Brian Flores, man. And as far as defensive schematic coaches, man, people don't give Brian Flores his credit, man. The time when they beat the Rams in that Super Bowl, it wasn't just only Bill Belichick, but a lot of those schemes too was Brian Flores's, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if he definitely bring him in, even if he's going to another team, but just for this time in the playoffs for that game alone.
Shout out to Gabby in the building. Hope all is well. Hope all is well with you too, my friend. Thanks for checking in. We appreciate you. But
Pat said, I'm ready to retire, man. I hope he don't. At least get another one before you do.
Brady could quit tomorrow and I'll be fine with it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the world will be fine with it because they tired of him winning. But in the end, you cannot cry for that man. The world is still his oyster.
Hello, man, that dude 45, man, and play better than half of these young dudes, man.
Let me explain to you one thing. Speaking of statistics and GOAT material and whatnot, do you understand that not only did Tom Brady throw for over 5,000 yards this season at the ripe age of 44, being the only person ever over 40 to throw for that many yards, but he is also the only quarterback to throw for 5,000 yards more than once. Let that sink in.
That dude had like 43 touchdowns, man. Don't forget, man, they showed all the dudes who played when they was in their 40s, and it was like 4 or 5 of them, and they had a total of 22 touchdowns, man. Y'all better give him his flowers, man, and stop playing that dude.
Absolutely. For those few of you that don't believe, that try to play that dude like he's Santa Claus and don't believe in him, Brady is the GOAT, period. He could lose this next playoff game against the Eagles. He's still the GOAT. Hey, his numbers speak for themselves. Bottom line.
He is who we thought he was.
His longevity speaks for itself. Because people, like I said, same with LeBron. They penalize them like, well, look how many more years LeBron played than Jordan. That ain't his fault that he kept his body up. Jordan could have did the same thing. He didn't have to go play baseball and all of that.
He had to gamble like he did.
Start picking up that weight and playing forward and all of that. He could have done it. That being said, Michael Jordan right now probably could outplay 70% of us at the ripe age. Wipe the floor with most of us. Even now.
You know it.
But yeah, the bottom line, Hugh, let's put it on out there. Super Bowl. You picking right now, who you got?
The Bucks and Titans.
He's going Bucks and Titans. Basically, y'all remember at the beginning of the season, I said we was probably going to get the rematch. I'm still going with that. I got Bucks and Chiefs.
I can dig it.
But yeah, we'll see how it all plays out, y'all. We'll be back next week to talk about how this next round went. We'll definitely talk more NBA. Our homework for this week, Hugh, is to definitely watch some more NBA more college basketball to get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because
some of the matches I seen was intriguing.
Right. We definitely need to see who is going to be available when the draft comes, because clearly our Pistons going to have another very high pick. They're going to need all the help over there. But, yeah, we'll get into that. We'll check in on your boy Jokovic. They are allowing him to play in the Australian Open, which starts Monday. He is my favorite to win that bad boy, so I'm really gonna see. I'm interested to see how that all plays out for him. And we might talk a little Olympics since we'll be that much closer to the games.
Yeah.
And by that time, some of the major countries will determine whether or not they actually going to send a squad. Because, as we talked about in the Summer Olympics, if certain nations don't send a team, it ain't no Olympics no more. It's an asterisk, flat out.
Yeah, because this summer wasn't looking too hot.
Well, y'all know I ain't even watched that one, so I couldn't tell you. And where I'm at this one, I'm probably not going to watch this one either. I ain't going to lie.
Definitely ain't watching it.
So there it is. So that being said, shout out to Miss Pat that held us down the whole show.
Definitely appreciate you, Miss Pat.
Everybody else this week, I don't know where y'all went, but we want to see y'all back in the room next week and the weeks to come. Don't forget about us. If we didn't not address your needs in terms of the show, please let us know by hitting us up in the email address, which is nighhtnetwork313@gmail.com. We've reached out to some of y'all, and y'all ain't hit us back, so I don't know if we offended you or the show ain't what you needed to be. We ain't talking about your teams enough. Whatever the case may be, let us know. We all right with that. We're trying to make this a show for the people. It ain't just about us coming on, running our lips for 2 hours. We're trying to talk about what y'all want us to talk about. We are committed to that, okay? So also, I got to let Hugh do his thing. Hit it, Hugh.
Y'all already know what time it is, man. Whenever y'all get a chance, if y'all need that sports fix, man, whenever we ain't on the air on Wednesday, man, tune over to the Pure to the Game. I be on there most days, every day, man, trying to get the best news possible to put up there for you guys, man. I appreciate your feedback. Thank you, Pride, and thank you for all the people who show love and support. It's growing every day, and just like to say thanks for all the love. And if you want to put something on there, if you have anything you want me to add or talk about, please hit me up, man. I'm there for you, and it's a sports show for the people, by the people. So, yeah, hit me up. Here to the game.
Right. Also, next week, we're going to have a little discussion about this thing that's starting to really become interesting, this thing known as the transfer portal, because we really get some really interesting stories in regards to that, and pretty much every team is getting people entering the portal and people coming out the portal, just like in that Dr. Pepper commercial. But we really got to talk about it because the future of the game may very much change based on how they're dealing with it now. But we'll talk about it next week.
And it's a better trumped up free agency in football like the NFL. It's like a person is a pond and they could go wherever they want to go. So, yeah, it's definitely making things more interesting in college sports.
Because remember, the portal ain't just for football now. We got basketball, baseball. A lot of those things are set up that way. The NCAA then basically said, look, we ain't going to make you wait that extra year to play for that team. You get in the portal and play right now. There was actually athletes this season who went into the portal, got into another team, and played for that team this year. So that is something we're going to talk about. But anyway, we're about to head on out, y'all. Thank y'all for participating and being a part of the show. Thank you to all my people on the Beagle Street for coming through showing love. Thank you to Miss Pat. We love you. You know we do. And of course,
Miss Pat, we love you and thank you.
You are always in our thoughts here at the Nighthawk Network. We know you definitely would have liked this show, except for when they got the dog and your Cowboys. But that was you. They ain't had nothing to do with me. I was cool with it. I ain't hate on them this week.
I still got 3 meetings waiting for them when they do lose.
All right, y'all. We're about to head on out. Till next Wednesday, y'all. Same bat time, same bat channel. Gametime Audible will be here for you. That is my brother Hugh Lee. Thank you, Hugh, as always. Appreciate you.
Most definitely. Likewise.
I just be messing with you some of them times, man. Don't be get mad when I get to talking about the stuff. You know, I'm always gonna have something to say about the factory.
Most definitely.
But anyway, we headed out, y'all, as soon as I could find this doggone outro.
I got a screensaver before you eat.
Uh-oh. We'll talk about that next week. All right, y'all. We out.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Gametime Audible is a Nighthawk Network presentation.